Hello, I'm Héctor Mangas Afonso. I'm a former student of high school IES Anaga, and I'm here to tell you about neuroscience, motivation, and decision making. I am currently studying cognitive neuroscience and psychology in the University of Manchester, and I am 19 years of age, which means that I am 1 year behind. I started uni last year somewhere else, but I didn't quite find myself happy. So I decided to move on and change, and that was probably the hardest decision that I've ever had to face. And that really gave me a view on how important making decisions is, and how important it is to be in the right state of mind to make them. So let's get right into it. So first of all, we need to consider that in every decision we take, there's a small part of it that is actually chance that you cannot change. But we have a certain amount of decision power that we can use to determine what we're going to do and what's going to happen. In order to accomplish the best of it, we need to be in the right state of mind. So let's get with the basics. What is decision making? Well, decision making is, according to psychology, the mental process with which we get to choose what's best to do. Decision making allows us to choose our fate in a certain amount. It always involves cognitive processes, such as perception, attention, and memory. This means that our brain has to compute decisions and choose what is the best path to go through. Okay, decisions are something really global, right? It's common sense to think that everyone needs to take decisions everywhere. But it's really interesting to take a look at how different languages treat the word decision and decision making. For example, in English, we say make a decision. We use make as if we were constructing something. In Spanish, instead, we say tomar una decisión, which basically stands for take a decision. This is like taking a train, taking one path or taking the other, which is really interesting. In German, I'm not going to read this because I don't know any German. They use the verb treffen, which basically means meet, to meet. Meeting the decision. You're basically meeting with them, which is really interesting because it gives you an insight on how they see fate, decisions, and your future, basically. Okay, so what's the best way of making a decision? Christina Guo developed the DECIDE framework in 2008. It basically stands for the 6 different steps that we can take in order to make a decision. The first one would be define the problem. Basically, what is it that we need to decide on? The second is establishing all the criteria, which basically means deciding all the variables that are gonna be in consideration in our decision. Then consider all the alternatives, so all the different values that these variables can take. The fourth is identifying the best one, basically choosing what's the best to do. Then develop a plan of action to see what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, and evaluating the results and receiving some feedback so that we can evaluate how good our decision was and react in consequence. Okay, so the DECIDE framework works when there's a problem to solve. There's something that we don't know everything about, and that is basically problem solving. Then we've got expertise. Problem solving and expertise can be put in both extremes of a line, where problem solving would be the one that gives you the slower solution, and expertise a faster one. With expertise, you've got the most knowledge available. You basically know all the variables and know how every outcome is gonna work out. Whereas with problem solving, we need to evaluate everything and choose what's best to do. But how do we do this faster? We cannot get all of the knowledge into problem solving, because then we basically have expertise. That's what differentiates both of them. So basically, what we need to work with is the different cognitive processes that we mentioned before. So basically, attention, perception, and memory need to be working at their best in order for us to decide in the best way we can. The first thing we need to know is that mental states affect performance. This means that how are your cognitive processes will affect how good you are at making decisions. But how do we achieve the best performance? with healthy decisions. And what are they? Okay, so we can divide them in 3 big groups. The first ones refer to sleep, the second ones to nourishment, and the third ones to motivation. This is a really big category, motivation. But let's get into it. The first one, sleep. So it's been proven that sleep affects performance, physical and cognitive performance. Yusuf Patrick 2 years ago performed a study and released a paper on how sleep deprivation affects performance of students, of uni students. And this can be extrapolated to basically every student. The more we sleep, the better we are at thinking and at making decisions. Then nourishment. Well, nourishment can be divided into 3 different groups. The first one is hydration. We need to drink enough water for our brain to work. The effects of dehydration in mental performance were studied by researcher Albert Adam in 2012. He basically concluded that water helps brain performance. Not only physical performance will be affected, so basically our cognitive processes will be affected by how much water we drink. The second one is breathing. This might seem really obvious, but imagine being studying in a room all day and with all the windows closed. You might not realize how bad that is, but actually the amount of carbon dioxide that you're breathing is really bad for your performance. Apparently, it can decrease up to 70% if we're not in a ventilated enough room. Also, the breathing pattern that you follow affects how well you perform. So, taking it easy and breathing good air will definitely help you. This was proven by Anderson and colleagues in 2002, where he basically claimed that oxygen saturation affects cognitive performance. And the last one, a good diet, eating good food will affect your performance. The last one, and probably the most complex one, is motivation. Motivation is run by incentives. You basically need something to move you forward in order to perform better. But it is not only incentives that affect motivation. You also need expectancy. So basically, those incentives need to feel real enough for you to work towards them. With that also comes rationalizing. You need to see the bigger picture, see yourself within the goal that you're trying to achieve in order to feel motivated towards it. It's really important to have a rational picture of everything as a whole in order to feel motivated. It has been proven that motivation leads to happiness. This means that being more motivated will make you happier. But it is not a one-way path. There's a symbiosis between motivation and happiness. This means that happiness will also make you feel more motivated. According to affect infusion theory presented by Joseph Paul Forgas in 1990, the ability to process information is affected by mood. This means that the better you feel, the better you will be able to react to things. When new information is given to you, the better you're feeling, the better you will react to it. But wait, motivation is not the only thing that induces happiness. There's another thing that needs to be present. This is social interaction. There's a correlation between happiness and social interaction. According to an article published in Psychology Today by Markman in 2018, proof has been found that there is correlation between happiness and social interaction. This means that people who isolate themselves for long periods of time will tend to feel less happy. So let's sum up all the different healthy decisions we've talked about. The first one, sleep. So getting enough sleep will definitely help you perform better and make better decisions so you can take the best out of your opportunities. The second one, nourishment. Really basic. 3 different concepts. The first one, drinking enough water. The second one, breathing well. Being in a ventilated space always helps. And the third one, eating well. Having a balanced diet with all the different nutrients that we need. The third one might be a little bit harder to get, but it's basically about rationalizing and engaging in social activities. So if you sleep well, you nourish well, and you feel motivated, there's a chance you will make better decisions. This, of course, sounds way easier than it is. There are always different things that affect us that we cannot change. But trying to see the goal to work towards it is always important. Okay, so this is it. I hope I wasn't too boring, and hopefully you got to learn something new. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you.